In this video, we're going to build and paint this Grimdark Terrain piece. So I'm going to hand you over to Chris to get started with the build.
So it's made up of 8 pieces that have been done on 3D printing. So it's quite a small part of the whole overall terrain and quite straightforward to put together. So what I'm going to be doing is running the glue along each of these parts. All the platform has now been constructed, held together while the super glue fastens. We've also added these resin additional parts, and obviously everybody knows that the reason that the resin is to give us the highest amount of detail possible. Now what we're looking at is a test fit for the railings around the actual structure and the platform that will go in the middle. The reason we want the platform is that what we're going to do is actually fit the monument as a centerpiece for this particular one. So I will be gluing this one onto the top here very shortly, but for now it's a matter of testing how these all work together. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly lay the glue along, and because of the surface area that we've got, we can actually be quite liberal with this, obviously making sure that you don't get it on your hands and you end up with your fingers stuck to part of the model. So we just need to hold it down for quite some time, and then it'll then glue and be as sturdy as this one. It's now set, the glue, and it's a nice solid structure. And what we've actually realised is that we were looking at potentially gluing all of these down, but that then makes the terrain quite restrictive. By not gluing them down, it means that we can actually remove these to then extend this terrain and make it far more usable, and a lot more variety. So as you can see, it all fits together in a very modular fashion. And then now that this is glued nicely, we can now place this as the centerpiece. And there we go, all done.
So we've got our standard matte black primer. This is going to be quick. Now that I've got the black on, I'm going to put a little bit of this Mechanicus grey on to give everything a bit of a tint. So we don't need a lot of this. Tiny bit on the railings. So what I want to do here is just show you how everything looks before I put the latex on. As you can see, there's some quite bold colours here which are going to be sitting under my latex coat, which I'm going to use to weather everything. Everything's dried off nicely. It's now time to put a weathering effect on with my latex masking fluid. This one again, I always use that one. Going to put quite a lot of this on. No idea how I'm going to get it out of all these nooks and crannies, but never mind. I'm sure I'll find a way. I don't know if you can see how much went on, but there you go. This is how much you need, really, to make a difference. All right. So I'm going to leave that there, drying off. Probably going to put a bit more on, to be fair. The staircase. Okay. While the latex is drying, we're going to pop some gold on the window area of the monument. So I'm going to use Retributor Gold to form a sort of a base colour. I'm just going to highlight it with this Rust-Oleum metallic, which comes up with a really reflective gold. So I'm going to do this in a kind of a zenithal style. So I'm going to spray from what would be above down to create an illusion of shadow. Just check the gold's working. Yep. And here we go. All it needs is that tiny, tiny, tiny touch. And I know you're going to think I'm hitting most of the rest of the model, but it's okay because we're going to come back to that. Right, so there's that. I'm going to do the top of the monument here. There we go. Then I'm going to use my metallic. So let's bring this back in. There we go. Trying to keep it at the top edge of the window area rather than the bottom edge. So we've got more gold here and less gold down here. Same again. Last one. That's it. It's done. Do the same on this piece of the monument. This is going on the top of the roof. So you can see how by spraying from that above, you've got some lovely shadows working in there now and some colours coming through. You can see the red coming through there, the red brown. On this one you can see a kind of a purpley blue as if it's oxidizing. Yep. If you look from right underneath you can see some of the turquoise. Very happy with this. The latex isn't completely dry, but it's dry enough for me to put my Retributor armor coat on. So that's what I'm going to do next. So when I put this on, I want to go a little bit heavier towards the top of the walls, a little bit lighter towards the bottom of the walls to create an illusion of height and depth. So here we go. Going to give you an idea of how much is on there. You can still see the red coming through in places, some of the blues, some of the other colours. Now I'm going to use this metallic again. So the way I've done this, you can see underneath, you can still see all those wonderful colours that we put on earlier. But from the top, it's looking very golden. It's time to do the staircase. So the next stage of this project is to paint the stone area. What I've done is I've masked the windows of the monument, which are going to stay gold, and I'm ready to spray some grey on here, and then I'm going to lighten that up, make it look like really, really light, like limestone or marble or something like that. So I've got this surface primer, which is a slightly darker grey than usual, I think, but we're going to start with this Mechanicus standard grey. Before I use any lighter colours, I'm going to try softening the grey with this Zandri dust. This will stop the grey from being too cold. Now we're going to try this surface primer, and we're going to do a zenithal spray right from above. Yeah, that's lovely. So this is starting to come together. I'm going to lighten it up a bit more. Before I go with a bright white, I'm going to put a little bit of this Wraithbone white on. And finally, a pure white. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and put this in the corners and at the apexes of the dormers. So when you're painting something like this and you're trying to do it quickly, don't paint it too well. Leave yourself with bits of area showing with the previous colour. That way you get more tonality and texture into the piece. It's a little bit light, so I'm going to put a bit more of this on. This Mechanicus grey. I'll spray this from below though. Try and catch the undersides of all those roof tiles. Going to go back in from above with the Death Guard green. Doesn't feel quite colourful enough, so I'm going to pop a bit of this Tomea blue on. Better. And to cap it off, I want to put a bit of Runelord brass, which is the same colour as the terrain tiles which we're putting on the floor. And this will give a nice contrast to the gold areas of the building, like for example the steps and the walls. And that's just giving it a hint of metallic. Okay, I can still see the green through that. Let's just see if there's enough contrast between this and the stone that's underneath. Because if there isn't, I'm going to go for it again. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's going to be fine. Right, I need to leave that to dry off a little bit. So while we're waiting for the monument to dry, I'm going to start taking the latex off of this and just reveal some of the weathering and damage. Let's see what it looks like. There we can see the effects working out quite nicely. So I've taken off the latex from the sides of this, and I'm just going through the process of trial fitting everything back together. So this is one of the plates I painted this evening. As you can see, I've put a few more of those down just to show how the effect's going to be. Let's put these railings on. These really set the model off, these railings. Very gothic. There we go. And pop the stairs on. Last thing I need to do is unwrap this and place that in the middle. Here it comes. Wow, that's not bad. Okay, let's try it for size. Last but not least, we need to unwrap this, pop it on the top. Well, here it is completed. If anything, it reminds me of a Victorian folly in a stately home garden. I'm very pleased with the effect nonetheless. I think it's going to be a wonderful asset to our 30k terrain board. I'm very pleased with how it's turned out and the approach we've used. I feel like this is going to work very well for the rest of the terrain that we've got to paint. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.